Testing. Yeah.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning up here. I just want to welcome you all to the IETF 116 hackathon. My name is Lars Eggert. I chair the IETF. I'm not Charles, who usually does this. He'll come after, so stick around for that. I just want to sort of thank you all for coming early and sacrificing your weekend to write some code related to various internet protocols and proposals for internet protocols. This has really sort of become a very important part of the meeting, arguably for some the most important part, because you can actually work on things that then run rather than write documents that somebody else has to write the code for. So I hope you enjoyed the meeting. I hope you also had a good night. I slept very well, which surprised the hell out of me, given that I'm coming from flying east, which is usually not good. And it's always good to be back in Japan. It's been a very long time since we've been here, it feels like. But IT systems here work really well. So my Suga card, I don't even know how old that is, maybe 20 years? I brought it with me and it recognized it and it told me I had like 5,000 yen left on it, which is a nice surprise. So all the vending machines are now available to me. But enjoy your day, write some code. Charles is going to talk to you more about the logistics of it. I will mention that we have to wear these things while we're in this room. And while I'm also from a country where lots of the restrictions have been lifted and I haven't been wearing one of these since London, I'm going to wear one this week because this is what we do here. So enjoy your day, enjoy the coding and talk to people, meet new people, and welcome at the IETF. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for opening things up for us, Lars. And yeah, I'm Charles Eckel. I'm one of the co-chairs of the hackathon. Very happy to be here and welcome to all of you. My other co-chairs, Benno's here up in front with me. Barry is, I saw him, he's in the back of the room there. Barry's here as well. I'm going to cover some stuff about the hackathon, but if there's at any point you have a question, you need help with anything, you can come find one of us and we'll help you, whether it's something we covered or not. So as Lars mentioned, very important to wear masks when you're not up here speaking or actively eating. That's an agreement we made for this IETF meeting, especially because we have a mix of people who have been traveling a lot and those who maybe haven't been and are coming from different areas with more restrictions. So please do just wear your masks. Jay is here. He'll be going around with extra masks in case and reminding you to wear a mask and giving you one if you don't have one. If Jay comes and pays you a visit, he's in the back there. Please be sure to wear your mask or grab one from him if you need it. So first of all, I wanted to see, I always ask this at the beginning of a hackathon, how many of you, this is your first time coming here to one of these? Okay, wow, fantastic. That's great. Each time I'm always a little nervous that there aren't going to be like new people, but each time I'm really happy to see how many new people there are here. It may be hard to see, but I'm actually wearing a t-shirt from the hackathon when we were here before, IETF 94. That was about 7 years ago, I think. And we were in the old part of this conference center, and we had maybe 70 people. So it's nice to see the growth. Then also another thing I think is real interesting is for how many of you, this is your first experience really with the IETF. Okay, so we have a few of you too, and that's also super important. And I think I certainly feel this is a good way to introduce yourself to the IETF, to get started with it. Don't be hesitant to reach out, meet new people. I know you're going to be real anxious to dig into your project, but also find out a bit what's going on with the other projects and the other people in the room. I'm sure they'll be happy to chat with you and get to know you as well. So take advantage of this opportunity And hopefully you're also going to stay for the rest of the meeting week, and you'll get even more out of it that way when you see how what you do here during the hackathon, how that gets reflected in the working group sessions that happen throughout the week. And then just one more thing. This has a little bit to do with the mask. How many of this is your first time being out at like an in-person event like this since the pandemic? Okay, almost zero. So that has changed dramatically in the last 2 years. And I guess that's actually a good thing to see. So happy to see that as well. We can get rid of that question. Okay, so why we're here. Hopefully you already know this, and this is the big reason of why you are here. It's really to speed up and enhance all the great work we do here in the IETF, to implement the working group drafts and the RFCs that we're standardizing here, and where possible to use that to feed that back into the work we're doing to improve it and to have it go faster, with the idea being that we want to reach a better standard faster with actually some running code to back it up that then can be used to jumpstart implementations and so adding support of those standards. And then another big thing, of course, as I mentioned, was getting to know each other, bringing new people into the IETF, and really building your own personal network that's going to help you be successful in the IETF and hopefully have a really good and educational time in the IETF. So everything we do at the IETF kind of falls under this note well. So it has to do, you should make sure you're familiar with it so you know the IPR policies. They come into play when you're in a working group session. They also come into play when you're here into the contributions you make during the hackathon. Now, the code that you work on, it likely has other implications related to it and other conditions. So there you have to make sure you're aware of the license of that code and that you're using it appropriately and that you're following the any added restrictions that are there in the code. Because the code that you work on is actually under those requirements. So be sure you're aware of the code you're working on. If it doesn't have a license and you're the team working on that code, you may want to talk with your legal team or with someone else to see about getting a license on there. Because then otherwise, people really don't have the right to contribute to it. So please make sure you take care of that as well. Okay, now the more fun part, all the projects that we have. We have a great list of projects. They're all on the wiki. If you haven't taken a look at this yet, I saw there were about 30 projects last I checked. Take a look. It seems like most of you have already kind of found a table and have a place where you want to work. If you haven't, don't worry. There'll be plenty of time to find a good group to work with. If you're having a tough time, one resource you can look at is we do have a lost and found page on the wiki. And so you can add yourself to there, put a little bit about the things that you like to work on, the skills you can contribute. Also, if you're leading a project and you have a need for people with a certain skill set, put that up there too, so that we can kind of help match people to projects. Hopefully this will be a good resource that helps you out a little bit. Okay, the agenda. So we're at this kickoff, and then after this, really the goal is to make sure that everyone finds a team. If using the lost and found and that it's not working out for you, you can come in and see me, see one of my co-chairs. We know a lot of the projects here and the people, so we're happy to help you as well. We're going to have lunch brought in here, so we encourage and welcome you to stay here through the lunch and continue working on your projects. Of course, if you prefer to go out, that's up to you too. We just try to make it easier for you to stay here, assuming you want to stay here. In the afternoon, we'll have some snacks brought in, and then we will have dinner brought in as well. So it'd be really great if you could stay here for that. Now, one thing that's a little bit different this year is we usually run the hackathon a little bit later into the evening, but this whole conference center shuts down and we need to be out of it by 9 p.m. So we really need to be out of this room then at 8:30 to make sure that we completely clear the premises. I know many of you like to stay a little bit, push that limit of staying to the very end. This time we really can't do that. We need to be out of here, completely out of the facility by 9 p.m. So if you're here near the end, please help us out. Please help me out so that we we adhere to this policy. Okay, then on Sunday, we'll be back here again. Breakfast will be in the back like it was. Lunch will be provided again. The thing I want to call out is that we do like to share the results of what we've worked on in the hackathon, and that starts at 2 p.m. So really around 1:30, our suggestion is that you stop, plan to stop working on your projects for the most part, and then pull together a presentation if you haven't already. So that you can be ready to share what you did with everyone else who's here and with some people who aren't here and are just watching, because that's something we found that really the IETF community finds very useful, is to see what you've done here, what you've learned, especially those things that might have an impact on their working group. And then by 4 p.m., we're going to wrap up here so that many of you who I saw are newcomers to the IETF. You'll have time to get to the newcomer events, and everyone can go to the opening reception and all of that. Any questions about the agenda or anything else I've covered so far? Okay. So Gather. Gather is a tool that we started using during the pandemic and continue to use to help people, especially those who are remote, to interact with those people, other people who are remote or who are online. We are using it again for the hackathon. I've seen a couple groups have already started using it. You'll see there's to get to the hackathon specific area, just follow the arrows that are on the screen here. When you log into Gather, you'll be brought to this initial page. Then you can just follow those arrows and they'll bring you into the hackathon space, which kind of looks a little bit like here, especially a little bit more than usual maybe at this meeting. So there's a number of tables there. If you'd like, your team can pick a table, and then you can encourage others who are either here or especially those who are remote to come sit at that table to interact with you there using the whiteboards and notepads that are there, or just entering into an audio or video conference with you at that space. So we're looking to see, especially with Gather, how many people actually use it at this IETF, because this is a tool that we've been sort of using on a bit of a trial basis. And if it's really useful, we'll continue to use it for the hackathon. If it's not, then we might not. So give it a try. If this is something that's useful for you, let us know and help us make that decision. Then Hacknet. This is another great resource that's available to everyone here. This enables people who are not physically at the IETF meeting to join the IETF network. So you'll be able to work with people in that way as well. You'll actually be able to be on the same network. We also use it if you have any special networking requirements. Especially because we're working on networking protocols and internet standards here, if you're developing something that requires sort of a special, maybe an L2 network or something like that, we can help set that up for you. So if your project has special networking requirements, let us know. There's some instructions here about how to get it set up, and the NOC team will work with us to provide anything that's within their capabilities. Oh, one other thing I should mention, have any of you brought in access points that you plan to plug in and use as part of your projects? Okay, I don't see anyone. Well, if you do, you can see that, hey, what's going on here? The slides aren't keeping up. Interesting. Okay, there is, you're supposed to use channel 36 only and no greater than 20 megahertz channels. And that's if you're on the 5 gigahertz spectrum. If you're 2.4 gigahertz, you can kind of do whatever you want. So anyone who does decide to plug in a wireless access point, make sure you follow these rules so that you don't interfere with any of the IETF network that's running in this room. Okay, I mentioned these results presentations. We'll be doing them tomorrow afternoon. We always have a lot of presentations, which is great. So we need to keep them short so that we finish in time. So for those of you who will be presenting, keep in mind that we want to keep those to 3 minutes or less, and we'll run a timer. So these are just quick overviews of what you did, what it was, the problem you were trying to address, what you achieved, and the things you learned. So keep it very high level, and just enough to let people know what you did so that then later on, they can ask you more about your project and have those more in-depth conversations. If when you have your project presentation, what you need to do is you need to upload it into GitHub. So what we have is we have an IETF hackathon org in GitHub, and with there, if you'll find a lot of the code that people work on in the hackathon. If you need a repo to hold the code that you're working on, let us know. We can create one for you there. We have a special repo that we've created, IETF116 project presentations, and that's specifically for this iteration of the hackathon, and this is where you will be uploading your presentations that you're going to give tomorrow. If you take a look in that repo, there's a few files there already. There is a README, and then there's a couple templates. One template's a PowerPoint template, the other one is an HTML template, and you can use that to help you get started with your presentation and just kind of follow the formatting that it has there and the things that it asks you to cover. Most people find that pretty handy. One thing I will say is that when you give your presentation a name, be sure you name it, it's nice to give it a concise name, but just name it the name of your project. So if you're working on DNS, call it something short and that will identify your presentation. Don't call it hackathon presentation or it'll be hard to find because it'll look like these templates. If you take a look at the README, what it will also point out is what you need to do to get yourself added to the IETF GitHub org, because you need to be a member of that organization in order to have the ability to upload and edit files on it. So you'll see some instructions here that I just highlighted with the red box. It's important to do that in advance. Don't wait till the last minute. Please follow that, send us a request. We will add you to the IETF GitHub org if you aren't a member of that already. If you got added at a previous IETF hackathon or at something else, then fine, you're good. You don't need to do this for each hackathon. You just need to do it once. And again, if you have any questions about that, just come see me or one of my co-chairs and we'll give you a hand. Any questions about that? Okay. Okay, then this is a relatively new capability that I still like to point out to people that I think is really helpful. Related implementations. We talked about that we're working on running code related to the internet drafts that we're standardizing. And this is a way that you can make those known to the people who are reading the drafts, who may not even know anything about the hackathon. So what you see here is a draft that I wrote. It's actually about making it easier to find running code. If you look in the data tracker, you'll see something called additional resources. And we've been using this for a while to do things like to point to a GitHub repo that you can use to collaborate on your draft. Well, you can also, as an additional resources, add your code as a related implementation. So if you go and you click on the edit button, what you'll see is that it pops up a dialog box where you can go and you can define one of these related implementations. And here, what I do is I have it point to what was an IETF internet draft and later became an RFC that was a demonstration of how to implement this policy. So, and then you can see how it pops up in the data tracker as something that you can access. And maybe a better example is if you look at the last IETF hackathon, we had a project here on SRv6, and you can see that they pointed to some drafts. Well, those drafts use the related implementations that you see here, and they had that point to a GitHub repo that was actually providing an implementation of that draft that they were writing. So this way, when people go to the data tracker, they not only find the internet draft, they can find the code that you've written or that someone's written that will help with either your understanding or implementation or adding support of that, that internet draft. So for those of you here, please, if you do have some code related to a draft that you're working on, please try using this related implementations. And I'd like to see this really become more common, that people use this in the IETF. I think it'll really help make it easier for people to find all this great code that you're working on related to your drafts. And if you want to learn more about that, here's a pointer to the draft that I was mentioning about that talks about this whole process of trying to make it easier to find code related to RFCs and internet drafts. And take a look. I welcome comments on that. And we'll actually be talking about this in the EDM session later this week. Okay, then just a couple more things. When the hackathon ends here, there's actually still a couple more events that you might be interested in. One is called Hack Demo Happy Hour. And that's just a fun event for those who want to get together and to present their projects in a more extended fashion. So we have a whole hour instead of just 3 minutes. You can get some space at a table. You can set up a bit of a demo of what you did, or just be there to have people come by and interact with you and ask you questions about your hackathon project. And now that's an opportunity then to have these deeper conversations than really that 3-minute presentation allowed. So if you're interested in doing this, and I hope you are, you can sign up. There's a wiki page off of the Hackathon wiki where you can do this. Make sure you register by the end of the lunch break tomorrow, so that then we make sure we have enough space for everyone. We'll have a designated area for your project, and it should just be a fun time. So that's Monday evening from 6:30 to 7:30. And then one last thing, like we always have an IETF lounge, and there'll be a section in there called the Code Lounge that's just going to be set aside and provide a space for you to continue to work on your projects. We won't have this hackathon space. We'll have a different room. It's actually going to be upstairs, but there should still be plenty of space there for you to come and continue to work on code throughout the week. So you may find it handy to advertise when you're going to be there, just to make it a little bit easier for people to arrange their schedules. So feel free to do that. It's perfectly fine for multiple teams to be meeting there at the same time, in case I think that's actually a good thing. So feel free to sign up. That'll be available throughout the week. Lastly, and this is really fantastic, we introduced this concept of being people sponsoring the hackathon, and it's starting to catch on. We actually have a full complement. We have a gold, a silver, a bronze sponsor. So I really want to thank Ericsson, Meta, and ICANN all for sponsoring the hackathon this time. This is fantastic. It's great to see that type of support that actually enables large groups of people like this to be here and work on this. So I'm super excited that we have that. So thank you to our sponsors. If you see people from those companies throughout the week, be sure to thank them, because we really need their support to be able to have this type of event. And unless there's any questions, anyone here have a question? If you want to, you can ask it now. Otherwise, you're free to come see me at any time, or one of my co-chairs. Okay, great. Well, I will let you get to your projects. Thanks a lot for your attention. I know it's hard to listen to me, especially those of you who have heard this several times, but I appreciate you giving me your attention, and thanks for that. Now, I hope you have a great hackathon. Thanks, everyone.